Hi, you know, one of the best things that any new beginning woodworker can do is a cutting board, and it's because you can learn so much about laminating pieces together and come up with such really cool projects really pretty quickly and easily with it, just the understanding of a few types of processes. One of the types of cutting boards that's really common is just to laminate some contrasting pieces. This one is walnut and maple. And that looks really nice, but lately we've been having just a little bit more fun cutting some tapered pieces and putting them together, and it just makes it really interesting and has kind of a lot of eye candy for people to get them. And so you can see that putting them together is where the fun is, and it's about as limited, you know, you're about as limited as your own creativity. But what I want to do is show you first of all how it is that these strips get cut, and because it's a little bit dangerous if you don't do it quite right. So what I've done in order to cut these tapered strips is I have made a fixture that is tapered, and so you can see that it is thinner at the bottom than it is, or at the top than it is here at the bottom. So when I flip it over and I put the piece in it, I'm going to cut a taper when I do that. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. One of the things that's really important is to have a push stick ready so that you can hold it down, because it wants to climb the blade and you can't really leave your hand in line with this blade. That's a little bit dangerous, so I'll show you how to make this maneuver. So you can see that the tapers that are cut pretty safely, but make sure that if you do something like this, that you apply the down pressure along the piece so that the piece doesn't try to climb the blade. And so next what I'll do is show you how to clamp up a cutting board that uses tapers. Okay, so here we are at the clamp rack, and I have laid out the board the way that I want it with the alternating pieces of wood, and we've got some walnut and then some cherry and then maple and walnut, and then back over here to end at cherry and walnut. And this makes a really proven board in terms of appeal. And so I just want to show you how it is that we're going to lay that out and glue it up. So what I want to do is push it this way, then I'm going to rotate each piece 90 degrees and bring it back against the other. So I'll lay all of these out carefully. Now these last ones, we're not going to need that one right there. We'll need to put these in, and then I'll come back and finish in just a moment with those. So this is kind of a large glue up. I'm going to put just a little bit of pressure to firm this up, and I'll take my glue, and I'm using Titebond waterproof glue because it's a cutting board, and that's going to work a whole lot better in a cutting board than glue that will come apart in water. So now I'm going to take my brush, and I just want to pull it in one direction from the center out. And if you pull too fast, it kind of skids over the top of it. You've got to give it enough time to flow into where we need it. And remember the amount of glue that we need. You know when you have enough glue because you can see the color, but you can't really see the grain. And we have to work kind of quickly. Sometimes we have more glue than we want in one spot. We have to pick it up from a thick spot, put it down in a thin spot. Okay, I need just a little bit more here. And that is for this end piece. When you go to the trouble to make a cutting board that has this much wood in it and this much time, it doesn't do you a lot of good to short yourself on the glue. You want to kind of err on the side of having maybe more glue than you need. Glue is a small part of the overall cost. And so I'll lay this right here and loosen this up. Now I've got to rotate back to the pattern that I had. And then I'm going to rotate 90 degrees on each of these. Okay, so we'll kind of compress that for just a moment so that the glue will stay in place. Then I'll lay these out the way that they go. And I'll finish gluing those. Remember, we don't want to waste glue, but we don't want to have any voids in our wood either where bacteria can gather. Wooden cutting boards are unfortunately pretty bad about transmitting bacteria like salmonella, and it can get in the cracks between the laminations. Whoops, I went the wrong way. I need to go this way. Always be careful which way you're going. Don't do that. Okay. Now, if you think about this, the trick now is that when we go to try to compress it, all of those tapered pieces that we have are going to try to squirt out because they're lubricated with the glue. And so we'll have to clamp this in this direction so that the pieces can't wedge out. So I'll get that in position. Put this piece up. Make sure that we've got everything down that we need. And I like to start in the middle when I compress a cutting board, and we're trying to just lock those pieces until the glue reaches its flash time, which the flash time is where it locks together. So if you take that glue and rub it in your fingers, as soon as it locks, that would be the glue's flash time. And so you can see that our board has really uniform glue coming out between the laminations. It's about the right amount of glue, and you can tell that as I pull this clamp down or I compress this clamp that the glue is going into the vascular system of the wood, and so we take our time pulling that down. And you can see that because what we don't want to have happen is the glue to squirt out from between the laminations. We want the glue to actually go into the wood pores and lock and fill those wood pores. So I can see it's beginning to get tight now. And so not too bad. So the glue is already flashed, and so it doesn't really take very long once you bring the clamp pressure up for those to lock into position. And then at that point, you can go ahead and pull that set of clamps off. Now, the next thing we'll be doing once this dries is to go ahead and run over to the planer and plane this off, which is where we'll go next. So we'll just pull that out. Don't forget to wash your brush. Okay, so here we have our newly laminated board. It's dried for 2 days. And what we have is one smooth side where we brushed it down and the other side where the drips are. And so what we want to do is we want to put it in the machine like this with the drips up. The reason that we do that is because the cutter head is on top and the roller wheels are on the bottom, and so we're going to knock off all of those drips first of all. So I'll go ahead and adjust it, turn the suction on, and run the board. Okay, so when it comes out of the planer, we're going to flip it this way. Exactly to 1 inch in thickness. Okay, so we only have 2 operations left, and one of them is to go ahead and joint both of the sides. Usually 2 passes on each side are sufficient. Finish up this operation at the sliding compound miter saw. Okay, at this point we're just going to square the ends so that they can go over to the router table to be profiled. What I'll do is just check to make sure that my laser shows that I'm getting a full cut. Okay, so this is what you should get, a piece that is solid all the way. Well, there you have it. I hope that helps you understand where you're going and how to make some really cool looking cutting boards.